And I'm your host, Dana Migliore. How are you today? I hope your energy is feeling good. And let's just take a moment to get centered. So take a deep breath in and a slow exhale out. Thank you. Okay, so what I wanted to bring up today in this episode is all about the power of now. And you've all heard, well, most of you have heard, ask and it is given, ask and you shall receive. I mean, this is all throughout the Testament and the Bible. This is one of the longest known standing confirmations of the law of attraction. And why I feel it's important to bring up it because a lot of people are asking, myself included, and we're not receiving. And what's the malfunction there? Because ask and it is given. So I want to place attention on when we ask for something. That is a completely different frequency and vibration than one of receiving or getting the answer or being given something, right? These are two separate frequencies. So when we are asking for something, we almost have to give ourselves space in between asking for something and receiving something. Because if you're constantly asking, where is it? Why hasn't it happened yet? How is this going to happen? You're constantly still in an asking mode. So it's not like there's something wrong with that frequency, but how are you supposed to be on a frequency of receiving when you're on a frequency of asking? And a lot of us get stuck on asking the question. So, what are you looking to manifest? Are you looking to manifest something internally, like peace in your heart and your mind and your soul? Are you looking to manifest something physical, money, car, a specific job, a specific income? So when we are asking for these things, we have to give ourselves time and space to get off the frequency of asking. And that's why I'll always go back to our practices of meditation, because meditation helps you get off of the frequency of asking, because you're either quieting the mind or you're focusing on something else, right? Telling your body to do something else, which is giving that break of asking. But many things can be incorporated of giving a break of asking. It's just that, are we doing it more? Are we doing it enough that we are giving the time and space that the universe needs in order to give the cooperative components that it needs to in order to align us with the people, places, and circumstances that are going to bring us closer to what we are wanting to manifest? Now, don't get me wrong, because there are scenarios and cases where you can just literally do nothing and manifest something without taking any action. But most of the manifestations that you want in your life and that you want to create are going to require action on your part. But we don't want to take action from a place of, where is it? How am I going to get it? When you're in that frequency of asking and you're trying to take action, and you can tell that you're doing it because you want it, which is, again, that want is the lack thereof, you're really pushing against yourself. You're really pushing against the energies. It's more of taking inspired action. And so how does one take inspired action? Well, when you get off the frequency of your asking and you get into a frequency of a general line of gratitude, appreciation, or quieting the mind, meditating, or you're in some type of state where you're not in that flow of wondering why it hasn't happened yet, okay? And you get a surge of an urge to do something. It could just be literally like going to text somebody or opening up your laptop and going onto a specific website. It could be walking to a certain end of your house and seeing something out the window, which made you think of something to go do something. Like stuff that minuscule is called inspired action. It doesn't have to be this grand gesture of you like taking on the world inspired action. You just have to be in a place where you're able to receive the inspired action, receive the download, receive the message. It's because when we're too construed on focusing on our now reality, if our now reality is something that we don't no longer want and we want to change, we want to have a different now reality, then you have to stop focal pointing your senses on your now reality. And that takes practice, because we are human and our senses, we were taught from a young age that our senses are everything, and that all we can do is you do what we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we taste, what we touch. That is everything. And we kind of forgot that we have this internal guidance system. We have this internal inner being that is non-physical, okay? And there's a place of creation within this non-physical part of us. And so this is what I'm talking about, is kind of tuning into that non-physical part of yourself, letting the external stuff go, stop calculating your now moment, and step out of that and ask yourself, what are the emotions I want to embody and feel? And again, sometimes I feel like every podcast episode is a broken record and I'm repeating the same thing, but it's in repetition that we rewire our brain, and that it's in repetition that we learn to rewire the patterns of our thinking. So it is really important for me to be repeating these things. And if you're listening constantly and applying these small but powerful techniques or teachings or ideas or perceptions of thinking, and you're starting to apply these in your life will begin to shift. Your life will begin to change. But if you go back into the asking frequency and looking at your now reality and wondering why it hasn't happened yet, it's like hitting the pause button on your manifestation. It's like hitting the pause button on changing the energy in the field of your now, of what you can see with your eyes, what you can taste with your mouth, right? With our senses, right? So how do we change this? You've already asked. You probably, if you could see a diagram of the questions that you've asked the universe for the things that you want, you would realize that I don't need to ask this question anymore. I need to start tuning myself into a frequency of receiving. So what does a frequency of receiving feel like? It feels like ease. It feels like flow. It feels like letting go. It feels like appreciation. So appreciation, I'm always going to make note of, because it's so easy to get off of appreciation and get on to what we don't have and what we lack, which makes us feel less than, which makes you take the opposite of inspired action. So that's why the first thing I do every single morning upon awakening is thank you. Like I even say thank you that I can see, thank you that I can breathe. I thank anything I can find in that moment and appreciate it. And it could be simple as doing that as your practice to begin with. So are we appreciating things in our now reality? Are we letting go of the things that we don't have and wondering why they haven't happened yet and what we need to do to make them happen? That energy that is it's like a push pull. You're pushing against that energy. You have to let it go. And you have to give that space to the universe. Because if you're constantly in asking mode, if you're constantly in a calculation mode, if you're constantly wondering why it hasn't shifted or hasn't changed it yet, you haven't given the universe the time and the energy to show you that. Because you're in an energy and frequency that doesn't allow you to see it, doesn't allow you to perceive it, doesn't allow you to download that information. So, again, where is your energy at? Every day, every time I have a call with somebody, I have these, spiritual manifestation calls is what I call them. And I offer 30 minutes free, a little one-on-one, to kind of help regulate you and guide you specifically to your needs. And so every time I'm there, I'm always going to guide somebody back to their internal guidance system, because your emotions allow you to let you know where you are in your frequency. And when you're not feeling good, that is a pretty good indication you're not in a frequency that you're going to be able to receive, that you're going to be able to receive inspired action. So we almost have to be diligent and disciplined enough and start making this a habit of repetition, that we check in where we are at emotionally, morning, noon, and night. And on top of that, we almost have to start practicing knowing that the universe will provide us what we are looking for at the divine timing that is right for it all to unfold. And not get caught up in all this. Is this actually something I should be manifesting? Is this wrong for me to want this? Am I going down the wrong path? Now, if these are questions you're feeling yourself, you can ask the universe, but then again, you have to step back after asking your questions and allow yourself to be in a general state and get yourself into a frequency where you can hear the answer, where you can feel the answer, where you can start sensing the downloads of the universe corresponding with you. Maybe somebody messages you and says something to you that sparks that aha moment in you. Again, because we're all co-creators, we're all in this together. So that's why a lot of the times I get inspired to send specific people certain messages. Maybe I'm listening to something on YouTube and all of a sudden something says to me, like, send this to so-and-so. I don't even question it anymore. I'm just like, okay, I send it to so-and-so. And majority of the time, the person's like, I needed to hear that message today. That was so helpful. Thank you. And sometimes they're not in the energy, they're not in the frequency of receiving that. And so they might not read that message till another time that they are in that energy, or they just happen to read it. And so it depends, because if you're in that energy, you're going to receive that message. And another person could read that message and not be in that energy and it not really click for them and they move on. So again, how do we shift and get into that energy? Again, it's letting go. Stop worrying. Worrying is like the worst disease that many of us have, that we don't really consider it a disease. We more consider it just like, it's this practice that we do so we're going to be okay with our future outcome. But you're actually depleting your cells, you're depleting your energy, and pretty much you're making yourself susceptible to getting more of an actual disease, because you are lowering your auric field, you are lowering your energies, and so you're susceptible to things coming in. So in order for us to have a strong auric field, this is where we start tuning to our energy. And this is why I incorporate energy healing in my manifestation practices. And this is why the Spirit Ascension method is for you to align your energy correctly, get that flow in proper balance, and also teaching you the theoretical mind portion of it, and how to start rewiring your subconscious beliefs. So it's really powerful. And I try to incorporate all of that in these 20-minute episodes for you in bite-sized chunks so you can begin digesting it at your own pace. I really recommend that upon awakening each morning, you find 3 things that you can feel appreciation for. And so when you're feeling this appreciation, if you're having trouble feeling it, really start picturing what your life would be like without it. And then now that you do have it, and really feel that appreciation. And then go through your day, do whatever it is that you do whatever it is that you have to do, but make sure you tune in and realize where your energy's at. Set yourself a reminder. Have you done that yet? How many times have I said that? Have you made this a habit yet for you? So it could be every time you use the bathroom. We use the bathroom quite a bit each day. You can stack that habit, right? So it's easy for you to remember. Do it in a way that works for you, okay? And so make sure that we're waking, appreciating, checking in frequently, at least 3 times a day, morning, noon, night, where your emotion is at. And are we stuck on the now subject? Are you stuck calculating why your now is the way it is and why hasn't it shifted to what you want? Because if you are stuck on that, then again, your hands are on that pause button. You want to hit pause again so it starts to play, and you want to let go. And in order to do that, you first have to be aware that your hand is on that pause button. And once you let it go, just feel the things you're thankful for. Try to, if you're feeling pretty good, then emphasize, what would it feel like if I already had everything I wanted? And really embody that. How much time during the day do you spend doing that? So make sure, as a practice before you go to bed, I want you to also appreciate things, but I want you to spend some time embodying the emotion of what it would feel like if you already had what you wanted. Instead of feeling like it hasn't happened yet, so it's not going to happen. Okay, so I know I'm going to get it, but I got to do all this hard stuff in order to get there. You're segregating you and your dreams, that your dream is so far away from you. Instead of embodying what your dream would feel like in an emotion now. So before you go to bed, I want you to try to exercise that muscle of practicing, emphasizing the emotions of the things that you want, that they already are. This is very important. And a lot of us know this, but a lot of us don't do this. And if we do this, we don't do it consistently. We haven't built the repetitive habit of repetition. Okay, so this is what I would highly recommend. And so from now until next week, just try shifting these things. Incorporate this into your life. Make it so this is now a habit for you, okay? And what I also want you to realize is every time you realize you're in that question mode, don't get mad at yourself, but remind yourself, I've asked this question many times. And when I'm in the mode of asking, I can't receive. When I'm in the mode of asking, I can't receive. So let this question go. Let this go so I can receive. That's super powerful, okay? Because the vibration of a question is different than the vibration of an answer. And the vibration of asking is different than the vibration of receiving. These are on different frequencies. So you really have to tune into where your frequencies are and kind of just let them go. So you can get back to hearing and feeling an urge. That inspired action can only come in once you lower the resistance you have going on. And that resistance comes from the questions, calculating your now and comparing your now to what you thought it should be, instead of just appreciating what now is and stop calculating why it hasn't happened. That is like the worst thing you can do. And this is what I did for so long that kept me stuck in one area of my life. So I really hope that this resonated with you today and woke something up within you, so you understand that if it hasn't came yet, you're probably stuck in the asking mode. So it's time to let the asking mode go. You've asked the question enough times. The universe hears your question. But in order for the universe, God, source, energy to flow the answer to you and to receive the answer to you, you have to be in a frequency to receive it. So it's time to start practicing that frequency. And we do that by simply doing small little shifts in our day, which is our gratitude practice in the morning, tuning into our emotion throughout the day, doing states of where our consciousness can be free, whether that is dancing, whether that is a sport that you play, whether it's riding your bike, whether it's you on your actual motorcycle going for a ride, feeling that freedom. These are things we need to start incorporating more, without worrying where it's going or that I'm doing this so I can't have this, and just living in that now without calculating and matching what you thought should have been by now to your actual now, and feeling that lack of, because that's not doing any good for your energy. It's always a pleasure. There's much love for you here. Until next episode. If something resonated with you about this episode, let me know in the comments below. If there's questions that you have that you're stuck with in your manifestation practices, maybe in your meditation practices, maybe you do energy healing yourself and you have some questions, list these questions below so I can start incorporating them in future episodes for you. So make sure, if you've resonated with this today, to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much. I see you guys next week.
Did you like this episode? If so, make sure to subscribe to the podcast. Are you an expert at creating your own reality? Do you have a story to tell that drastically changed your life? If so, message me at Dream Creation Podcast on Instagram, and don't forget to leave a review.